Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to an unboxing and overview of the new Raspberry Pi Model B Plus. I'll be covering the new features and differences between this new model and the regular Model B, so stick around after the intro to find out all about the new Raspberry Pi Model B Plus. Alright, so let's dig in and see what comes in the package. By the way, special thanks to Newark and Element 14 for getting this little guy to me. The B Plus has the same Spartan packaging as the Model B. It comes in a small box and an anti-static bag, along with some regulatory and safety info. And that's about it. The one thing I did notice about the box is that it has a nice new design, which is not terribly important, I suppose, as most people will probably chuck the box in the trash anyway, but I actually like to keep mine around to store my boards in when I'm not using them. So let's now take a look at some of the new features. The micro USB power jack has been moved to the side of the board next to the HDMI and audio-video ports. I'm assuming this is to keep all the inputs and outputs facing along the same side, which actually makes sense and makes rack mounting them a little bit easier. The B Plus features lower power consumption than the Model B. It only needs a minimum of 600 milliamps instead of 750 milliamps for the Model B. And according to a video that I watched on element14.com, the B Plus can handle a power supply up to 1.2 amps in order to power peripherals via USB, but the specs listed on the website actually says 1.8 amps. So I'm not sure which of those is actually correct. If the 1.8 amps number is correct, this would address one of the problems that the Model B had in that it couldn't really handle power-hungry peripherals, and you had to use a powered USB hub for a lot of things. And speaking of USB, you now have 4 USB ports instead of 2, which can eliminate the need for a USB hub for some people. Also, the GPIO pins have been upgraded to 40 pins instead of 26 on the previous Model B. However, this does not mean that you can't use accessories that you may already have for the older boards like GPIO cobblers and ribbon cables and things like that. The first 26 pins are backward compatible and they have the same layout as the previous models. You just now have an additional 14 pins to work with. You might notice that the composite video jack is missing on the Model B Plus, but don't worry, it's not really gone. The B Plus has a stereo audio jack along with the composite video out integrated into the same jack. To get audio and video out, you need a cable similar to this with both RCA stereo and composite video out on this end and a mini jack like this on the other. I have a few of these laying around already since they came with a lot of the older model video cameras I own. But the only issue you may run into if you use a cable like this that you have laying around is that the pole positions are apparently non-standard on the B Plus. And I have not actually tried this cable out yet, so I'm not sure if it works perfectly. From what I've read, this camcorder cable may work fine, but I might need to swap 2 of the RCA plugs with one another, most likely the red and the yellow. To get a cable that will work for sure, head over to mcmelectronics.com and order this little $8 composite video cable. It's been designed with the B Plus in mind. And if you don't need RCA video out, a standard Y audio cable with a mini jack on one side and the red and white RCA on the other side will work just fine. I also plugged a pair of headphones into the board and they work just fine, but didn't have a whole lot of volume. I just wanted to make sure that it worked. Just keep that in mind. It's a line level out and it's not amplified for headphones. You would need a headphone amplifier if you wanted to listen to it at a little bit higher volume. Also, the new audio circuit in this board incorporates a dedicated low noise power supply, so you should have an overall better audio experience with the B Plus than its older cousins, but I would still not expect the type of audio that you would get from an external audio interface like you would have on a regular desktop computer. If you do need better audio for your projects, check out iqaudio.com. They make an add-on audio board specifically for the B Plus. The biggest change for me has been the SD card slot. Instead of using a full-size SD card, the Model B Plus uses a micro SD, and it has a spring-loaded slot for it. This is, it's kind of a minor bummer since I have a ton of full-size SD cards that I experiment with and use. However, it does eliminate the problem of the card sticking out of the side of the case, so that's a definite plus. The micro SD cards are just as cheap as full-size SD, so really picking up a new card is not that big a deal. What has not changed on the new B Plus is the CPU and GPU combo. The CPU is still a 700 MHz ARM system on a chip integrated with a Broadcom GPU. The system RAM is also still 512 megabytes, which is shared between the CPU and the GPU, and you can control how much is dedicated to each in the operating system. And moving on to operating systems, let's go ahead and get the new board booted up and see how it looks. I'm using Berry Boot 2.0 from berryterminal.com. There's also a new installation method called Noobs. And if you only anticipate needing a single OS, you could use this instead of the Berry Boot method. Just keep in mind that you won't be able to add or remove different operating systems like you can with Berry Boot. So if you want to check that out, go to raspberrypi.org/help/noobs-setup. That's NOOBS-setup for more info. And once Berry Boot is on your SD card, and you have applied power to the B Plus, it works pretty much the same as the older boards. And now that I have it up, I wanted to test something out because someone, I believe in the UK, had noticed a bug in the power system where if you got your finger close to the GPIO pins, the system would reboot. So I wanted to test and see if mine was susceptible to this bug. And I tried it, and I could not get mine to reboot. So that is a good thing. Overall, I think this new model is a nice addition to the Pi family. And the new features like low power consumption with the ability to go to higher amps, additional USB ports along with the smaller profile, spring-loaded micro SD card slot makes this a welcome incremental update. So I hope you enjoyed this brief look at the new model, and be sure to subscribe to my channel for more updates in the near future. And as always, thank you for watching.